everyone, welcome to Behind the Screen. This is our behind the scenes spoilerific Q&A session with yours truly, Jason Azevedo. I am the Dungeon Master for Into the Mist and the upcoming Tides of Wildmount live stream. So you guys know this is a behind the screen look at the way that I DM Into the Mist, as well as our processes behind the scenes, at RealmSmith. Any questions that you guys have regarding the way that we do things on a weekly basis, on a regular basis, anything at all, you're able to ask. The only caveat is that anybody can watch, but it's a chat only. It's a subscriber only chat. So only subscribers to our channel can actually chat and ask those questions. Hello, everyone. Again, as usual, all the regulars in the chat, all the subs: Aoki, Shade Star, Batron 101, Meek 127, MJ Cook. Welcome, all of you wonderful folks. If you want to just chat and ask some questions, consider using your Amazon Prime subscription, and you can jump in the chat and try us out and allow us to be your Prime subscription for this month. If you do subscribe, this little purple, this little potion bottle behind me will blink blue once. If you follow us as well, it'll blink purple once. That's just a little way for us for you to let us know that you're following us. We can feel the love, and then also to give you some instant satisfaction in knowing that you are chatting to somebody live, which is great. Tonight is a little different than last week. So last night we did episode 9 of Into the Mist. It was a really great role-playing session. It was a bit of a vacation kind of shopping session. But you can ask questions again about the previous things that have happened in the campaign so far in that show. I'm not going to give spoilers moving forward. And so I can tie loose ends, why I made certain decisions. There's some fun insights that I can probably give that you guys don't see while you're watching live. And then at about the 8:30 mark or so, we're going to invite Brandon Perkins in. And he's going to tell us a little bit about Sterling, answer some of your questions about Sterling, and then tell us a little bit about his character for the Tides of Wildmount campaign that we're launching April 6th, after the finale for Into the Mist. So let's get going. We've got lots of viewers. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's really, really great and really awesome. And, of course, as always, we've got Sirenscape in the background here. You folks can let me know if it's a little too loud. I think I'm going to switch it over to something a bit more kind of fun. This is literally what was playing when we left and signed off last night. So we're just going to go into gentle music by the fire. Because why not? We're just having a fun chat all together. All right, already got some questions. If you have a question, again, if you're a sub, write question and then your question after that. And we will get to those questions as soon as we possibly can. Okay. First question from MJ Cook is, can you show us how you set up, organize your Trello board? I can't today because I didn't set up the little camera that goes to my right here that I can show you guys. That I will do in next week's episode. If you can give me a week to do that, MJ Cook, that would be really, really great. I will make sure that I set up and organize my Trello board. I'll show you guys kind of how I organize it. Without too many spoilers. I think I could do that without doing that. But that is a really cool kind of in-depth look, and I'll put the camera and make sure it's like right over my screen. Or maybe I'll share a screen. Actually, that's even better. Maybe I'll do like a screen share. I'll figure out how to do that, but I will give you a look into that for sure. Question, tell us about the militia. Yes, Patron 101. So, as you guys saw in last night's episode, there was a call out to people, Valakian specifically, to join the militia. So for those of you that are watching, and players, hopefully you're not watching, it is to gather the people at home, so you folks, you viewers, to help the players, or the characters rather, fight something in the final episode from GaryCon, in the finale. What that is going to mean, and I don't want to give spoilers because it'll ruin for you guys, it'll ruin for everybody else. But hey Jules, how's it going? That's Julian, who is of course our producer. So what that means is that you guys will be able to spend bits, and a certain amount of bits will somehow quantify into an action in combat against something on the table. It's crazy. It's nuts. I don't think it's ever been done before, but that's what that means. So just be ready with some bits if you want to interact. If not, if you just want to watch the finale and enjoy, that's great. But that is your way to help us do what we do here at the table, and as well as have a little fun and interactive and actually play the game with us, which is crazy. It's going to be a lot of fun. Here we go. Patiroka. I think you're new, Patiroka. I don't think I've seen you on here before. Do you have any plans to incorporate in the adventure the background stories of the player characters? Sorry for my English. Oh gosh, don't worry about English. I barely speak English. Yes, so we had a conversation about it last night, actually, the players and I. Specifically, Brandon and I talked about it today, and that is that I've already started little hooks into their backstory. So Roan has had the darkness talking to him, and Callie seeing visions. Falfer had a vision of his father. So yes, and also Brandon's talked about his father and has done a lot of the poetry stuff. And Dimitri, we had because we started the campaign and talking about where he's at. So we're absolutely trying to start to infuse that. Now, for those of you that are watching, if you roll over the interface, right now there is all on the left. You can see all of the character sheets from D&D Beyond that are the live character sheets. So if you roll over the interface, you click on any of those characters, you go to the backstory section. There is a whole backstory for those characters. So if you want to learn more about the characters, you can actually look at their live D&D Beyond sheet, as well as read their backstory. So that's one way, but we will slowly kind of build that and get that out when it makes sense. We don't want the players kind of saying, this is my backstory, this is where I came from. But we absolutely want them to kind of get it out of each other, and you're starting to see that a bit. And Callie was talking about the birds last night, and how they used to make her happy. And anyways, so we absolutely get into that. Trying to think of questions that aren't future spoilers, Dan, Robot Man. You can still ask them, and I might just not answer them. But feel free. Shadestar says, do you have preference, DMing or playing? I love DMing. I do love to play. It's fun. I've had the chance to play quite a bit in the Order of Dragons Bank live stream that we have. You can watch on YouTube and Facebook. At conventions, I've had a chance to. I played a dwarven fighter. His name was Victor Hammerforge, which sounds a lot like my Barovians. But anyways, yes, I do love playing, but DMing is where my heart is. Building worlds, or at least converting worlds, and kind of creating a narrative for me is just such a wonderful thing, and I love it so much. So yes, DMing is my vote for what I like to do more. Aoki says, do you have advice for how to handle a player that calls in sick? Do you hold the game a week or continue without the player during their absence? If I have enough players at the table to make sense. So we've run sessions before where, so Brandon ran a session that was just Joel and I could only make it for that day. The rest of the players couldn't make it for whatever reason. I think it was a holiday or something. And we had one of the best sessions we ever had on the live stream. You guys can go back and see that. It was kind of a little bit of a, was it Joel and I or Adam and I can't remember. It was that memorable. No, it was really memorable. But anyways, for me, if a player's sick, the other players at the table shouldn't have to suffer from that as well. Hope that player gets better. But I will ask that player if they want me to NPC the character or just want them to kind of fade into the background. And so, given their lead, I will either take them and NPC them as one of their NPCs, or I will allow them to kind of go into the background or find something else to do if there's a way to kind of get them off the kind of track so that they can be kind of a background character. But I would continue on with the session if I have enough players. How do you store all of your papercraft terrain? Is it collapsible? Most of it is not collapsible. And I have shelves in the other room that I store it in, or I have behind this, maybe that one day I'll show you folks, but behind this I have bins and bins of minis and terrain, and I organize them all in bins. I don't have any in my bin terrain here, but basically just like Rubbermaid bins, and I have one for houses, one for caverns, so that's kind of how I do it. just big Rubbermaid type bins, as well as some shelves from more of the show pieces that I don't want to get wrecked. Papercraft is very fragile. Even though I build it to last with poster board, it still takes a beating. If you look closely at our papercraft, it's starting to get a little thing after a couple years. So you want to take care of it, and so therefore you want somewhere where it's not going to get squished. But no, it's not collapsible. I like to reinforce it with poster board so that it's a bit stronger. Thank you for the subscription, Star Killer. Based on experience, how do you think you can start a campaign best? Is there a particular strategy you use based on your player's backstory? Let me read that one more time. Based on experience, how do you think you can start a campaign best? Is there a particular strategy you use? Yes. So I love doing what we did in Into the Mist when it comes to starting a campaign. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you meet in a tavern and that's where you continue. And that's fine and good. But I actually like to give the players and you folks, the viewers, a taste of what life was like before they started adventuring. So just like I did Into the Mist, that's how I start every campaign, where I'll have everybody out of the room, I'll have one person on, I'll do a one-on-one session with that person to talk about where they were right before they meet everybody else, or in the days leading up, or whatever. And that's what I did in episode 1 of Into the Mist, and you can see that there. But that's my favorite, is to kind of give them a chance to get their feet wet without anybody else at the table. Or if they're two of them together, they decided that they know each other for a long time, then they can be at the table together and we'll do a little session. And then we'll bring them all together, and however long that takes. But it's just fun to kind of have like that moment of actually meeting the character in game when they're not in the same room. That's how I like to do it. Personally, that's kind of how we do it. Prometheus Bound says, as a DM, what are your biggest player pet peeves? Oh, that's a good one. We talk about this stuff often in general, and just what the expectations are. We have a production meeting before every session, and we go through production notes. Player pet peeves: talking over each other, so not allowing people to have their moment at the table. I think that D&D is I don't want to say gentleman's game, because many women play, as Melanie does, but it is a game of allowing other people to have fun as well. And I think it's incredibly important to give them the space that they can to do that. Last night's episode was a perfect example of that. Everyone at the table had their moments to kind of say funny things and rebut, and there was so much great role play in last night's session. So that's one of my biggest ones, is people who kind of talk over people or interrupt people or don't give people the opportunity to really enjoy themselves. Another pet peeve is when a player tells another player how to play the game, not character to character. So a player will say something like, I don't think you should have done that. That's a bad idea. You're playing it wrong. Well, there's no wrong way to play D&D, really, except for with a bad attitude. And I think that if your character has an issue with the way that a character is doing something, then deal with it in game. Otherwise, that's my job, is to kind of police, or at least be there to facilitate the experience and the session, and so that should come to me. Rules are the same thing. I have no issues being reminded with rules. I have a bad memory, so sometimes rules escape me. So I don't mind being reminded, but a constant challenge is tough for any DM, because you're managing a billion things behind the screen, and so that can be a little difficult as well. The Trone 101 says, will the players of Into the Mist be a high enough level before they face Strahd? How will you prepare your players for this encounter? Yeah, that's a big one. Probably not. They will not be high enough level. And the reason I say that is because most people know Curse of Strahd is a 1 to 10 level adventure. It's supposed to be. I think, I don't know offhand what what Strahd's challenge rating is, but it's higher than that. So already out the gate, and for those of you that have run Curse of Strahd, they meet them even before they're close to 10th level. Meet him once, so or maybe multiple times, depends on how you play the campaign. It can go a bunch of different ways. So what I would say is no, but that's not the case with anything in Curse of Strahd. There are many encounters that are way above the players' heads, as you've seen thus far. Many. And So no, that isn't. I just got a text from David Morin, who I'm gonna call out right now, who just asked me why Balabar, who he played in our stream, was his favorite character. Balabar was one of my most frustrating characters, actually. Just so you know, David. And just actually want to throw out a congratulations to David and Joel, who have launched a Kickstarter today, this morning at 10 a.m., and have already funded like 7 hours in within the first day. So congratulations to them. That's for the dice spinners that you see on the table. There's one over there that they use on a regular basis in the stream. So check that out. If anybody has the link to that, you can place it in the chat for subs. But if you go to Kickstarter and look up Dice Spinner, I don't know if it comes up. I don't know what to search for because I just go through my Kickstarter app. But anyways, check it out. There's in all the comments of all our streams, there's links all through it. And I think Dave's telling me right now, if you look for Mythroll, Mythroll, so Mythroll, but Mythroll, yeah, that is where you can find their Kickstarter, which has gone very well. We're very excited about them. All right, back to questions here. So I hopefully answered that. So no, they probably won't be high enough level, but there's lots of areas in Curse of Strahd if you go wandering or follow a lead prematurely that you will be way outclassed. So a common tactic in Curse of Strahd should be to run, frankly. That's something that is a valuable and viable tactic in this world, in this campaign setting. So that is definitely something you can consider. And thank you, Prometheus, for linking that Kickstarter link. Have you homebrewed a monster for the players to face? No, I have not, but possibly next campaign in Wildmount. There's lots of opportunity to do that there. Moolander says, there hasn't been a lot of combat so far in the series. Is that by design, or are the characters avoiding potential fights? So Curse of Strahd in general, it says it right in the book that it is a role-playing heavy campaign. There's a lot of role-play, a lot of character interaction, and so that is by design of the campaign itself. Obviously, I determine how many encounters they have for random encounters and things, but they're in a town right now, so that is by design. The players have also sidestepped some serious stuff that could have happened. There's a couple situations where they ran into somebody or something that may have actually been bad. Again, spoilerific warning for the past. When they hit the crossroads, that hunter that was looking for them was actually a werewolf. Hint, hint. So they sidestepped that. He started asking about silver weapons. If they didn't have silver weapons, him and his buddies would have jumped them. But they had one, and he believed them because I rolled low on or high on his perception, and anyway, so they moved on. So they have absolutely been able to sidestep some stuff as well. Dan Robotman says, to piggyback off Patron's question, without railroading, how's the best way to lead your players on the correct path, i.e. away from encounters that are too difficult? I think you have to make it clear when something's going to be tough. So either an NPC says that is dangerous, nobody's ever trod that way, don't head that way, there's nothing but death. So there's definitely ways to foreshadow doom when characters are potentially beyond their element, or beyond their over their heads, I should say. But remember, and I had this kind of realization, something I've always known kind of innately, but I had this realization the other day. Curse of Strahd, when you get to Vallaki, it just goes and it explodes. It's kind of, there's a path to Vallaki that's pretty railroaded in general, but as soon as you get to Vallaki, it opens up and there's tons and tons of leads of places to go, and we've already touched on probably half a dozen, and they just got there. So for me, the best way that I find to not railroad players, but to still make it accessible and possible for me to have the time to prepare in a week for the next week's session is this rule of thumb. The players can only follow leads that you give them. And that's it. So if you don't necessarily want them to go to Argynvitz Holt, or you don't want necessarily them go to the Abbey of St. Markovia, or follow the Wizard of Wine's winery, which is where the players probably are going to go next, then don't give those leads out and hooks, and then they can't follow them. But absolutely, and in the reverse, if you give them a bunch of leads that you can prepare and that are their level, then they'll follow one of those and they'll have fun, and it won't feel like rail rolling. They'll feel like they have options. They feel like they control their own destiny. So that is my rule of thumb. Let's take one or two more questions, and then I'm going to invite Brandon in to chat with us, if that's cool. Question: how would you have handled the situation if the party had completely made an enemy of the Mardikovs? Would you have found a way to tie in the Wizard of Wine's threat anyway? There is tons in this game, in this campaign. The Wizard of Wine's winery is one of those that doesn't necessarily feed the main storyline. Necessarily. And I say that carefully because I don't want to give spoilers. But it is one of those that I didn't have to necessarily do. That's the first thing. The second, and none of it really. Everything I can kind of find my way and work around. If they had made enemies of the Mardikovs, they probably would have been kicked out of Vallaki down the road. He probably would have said, "Out of my inn, never come back." If they really did something wrong, he'd call the guards. The guards would come. They'd put them in chains or shackles, and they would have walked them out of town. And that can happen on a number of occasions in Vallaki. So if they're not careful. And then in that case, for those of you that know Curse of Strahd, there's certain things later that wouldn't take place if that happens. But I will make anything work. I'll find a way around almost anything in the campaign. And Curse of Strahd actually is great at allowing that. Question: what item was not found at the Death House? Was there an essential item that you intended the players to find there? No, there wasn't. None of the story items are revealed until later, until you have the reading and until you've gone to places. Did they not find anything specific? No, they didn't. I think the players got pretty much everything, if I remember correctly, in the Death House that they needed. They found the secret closet, door, room with all of the treasure and stuff in there, so that yeah, there wasn't anything I think that they missed there. All right, so that is where we're going to stop with questions. Was there a jewelry box they missed? Yes, there was. Prometheus, you are correctly right. There was a jewelry box in the master bedroom that they missed. I think that one isn't supposed to tarnish like the rest of the stuff that comes out of Death House. So they could have taken that. I think there's a specific note about that. Man, I can answer these questions all night. If anybody has any more episode-specific questions, if you want to ask them quick, because I want to make sure that those get out, because I know you guys have burning questions as to some of the things that have gone on throughout. Last chance. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we had an announcement last night. Most of you... Oh, the pie lady was 4. I can't spoil that. There's more to the future of that. Let me just say that reveal is going to be something else. And where that goes. So I can't spoil the future of that Patron. But there was a reason for the hoopla. Let's just say that. All right, so we made an announcement last night about what our next campaign setting will be. For those of you that didn't see it, I am going to play the announcement trailer, teaser, as it were, and then we're going to get Brandon in here. So just give me 1 sec. We'll be right back. And there it is. Our next campaign setting. That was a quick set change that we made to get over here to the other camera. Didn't quite make it. I tried so hard. Brandon, this is just it, though. This is like...
Oh, we made it.
We made it, right? We're good.
Yeah, nobody died. It's all good.
Nobody good at all. Sterling, Patron says. So Wildmount is the next campaign setting that we're doing. I haven't had a chance to kind of talk about it and what that kind of means to my heart. And it means a lot. So I, just to kind of give you a bit of a behind-the-screen look at that, I started this a number of years ago based on a desire to, I don't know, tell stories and create a stream and all of that kind of stuff. But it was really Matt Mercer, and I know a lot of people say this, but it was honestly Matt Mercer who inspired me to do it. And I don't think I would have to the level that we've done if it wasn't for Critical Role success and inspiration. And so I had the chance to meet him last year at GaryCon and sat with him for like 4 hours and chatted with him, and then met him again at D&D Live. And he's such an incredible person in general, and he's just as wonderful off camera as he is on camera, and everybody will say that, and you've heard that. I know a lot of people have heard that about him. But it is such an honor to be able to have an official D&D stream. I can't even tell you what that means to us.
Yeah.
So that is really huge. Divine Misurp, welcome, and thank you for making us your Twitch Prime subscription. And so anyways, it's been a bit of it hasn't been a long road, but it's been a road.
Yeah.
And we're here. And I'm just super, super excited at the fact that we have the opportunity to do what we do, and actually have a call set up with Matt this month to discuss the campaign setting, and it's just insanity. So I want to thank, first of all, the people at Critical Role, Matt Mercer specifically, for creating such an incredible world, and then giving us the opportunity to do this, and we're so very excited. So that's me gushing about the opportunity, and I hope you guys enjoy it. For those of you that don't know, our Wildmount campaign will go for 3 months, and then we'll come back to Curse of Strahd around to lead up to around Halloween time.
Yeah.
So that's the plan, which is going to be crazy.
It's gonna be nuts.
It is going to be awesome. All right. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take some questions for Sterling. I've seen some questions already here. Are there any plans on doing the second season of the Shattered Shield adventure, aka the Noob Stream? So MJ Cook, yes, that is happening this month. We need to announce that because we haven't yet. I will announce it here. Thursday, March the 19th. Thursday, March the 19th. So Thursday, March the 19th is the day that we will start Adventure 2 of Tales from the Shattered Shield. That is a song that we created to remember the date with the noobs because they're crazy.
Yeah.
And so, yes, we are starting that on Thursday, March the 19th. We're very excited about it. And Brandon is going to be DMing this season. And it's not just because I have my hands full DMing. It's because Brandon is an incredible DM. You'll see it on Order of Dragonsbane if you've watched that stream before. And I am just very happy for him to take the noobs along the second adventure, especially because he wrote all the modules for our adventure boxes. So leading into that, we are going to start with some questions for Brandon regarding Sterling. And so if you folks have questions regarding his character, his backstory, and anything like that, then please sound off in the chat. Prometheus Bound says, you guys have great production values. You are doing a fantastic job.
All right.
So we thank you very much for that. Do you want to just start with kind of giving us a kind of background on Sterling in general? Just so for people who maybe are just tuning in, haven't watched the show, don't necessarily know, and yeah, can you kind of give us...
So Sterling is an 11-year-old boy, and he had spent the last 6 years of his life bedridden with a terrible illness. His father knew where this illness was going, and and he knew that he had to do whatever he could in his power to try and save his son. This is in our homebrew world, Alun, where this all started.
Yep.
And there, it's kind of an end point where realms all kind of, in a way, kind of dump their garbage, or people escape to, they leave as refugees. So you get a lot of stuff there in Alun that can be traded as artifacts and things like that. Mm-hmm. And Sterling's father was one of those people who traded and dealt in these artifacts. He found a book about Warforged, and he realized that it showed how you can actually put a human soul into a Warforged. And so he started seeking an empty Warforged shell from that point, found it, put Sterling into it, knowing full well that the process dealt with volatile chemicals, and he would be poisoned and die. So Sterling's father gave his life to put Sterling into this new body, and the first episode of this campaign was exactly 7 days after Sterling had woken up in the body to find his own empty shell of a body now, and his dead father as well, and there's a lot around that. Yeah, I can expand it if you want.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, so the question from Patron was, tell us about how this child ended up in this metal body. So you just did that.
There you go.
That's great. The next question is from MJ Cook, and that is, what race was Sterling before he became Warforged?
He was actually a human.
Human.
And that may very well be the closest thing I ever play to a human.
Yeah, because you don't like playing humans.
I do it every day. You know, I want to do something else when I play the game. Yeah.
Fair enough. I have a question. While playing the campaign so far, what has been the biggest challenge in playing Sterling?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest challenge.
And Barovia, just because.
Other than the dice.
Yeah.
Because you want to go in, you're a Warforged, and you want to be able to come in like sword swinging and do some major damage.
Yeah.
And that didn't quite go that way. Yeah. It was a number of episodes before I landed a hit.
Yeah.
And so you have this vision in your mind of who you're going to play. It didn't go that way for me. But other than that, I think it's probably being this child in this world and playing that as true to form as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. That this world is going to impress upon this kid, and whether he wants it to or not, it's affecting him. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I have to keep in mind as we go through the things that he's seen, the things that he's had to do. How is that shaping him? Because he's 11 3/4 in age, and this is a very formative time in somebody's life.
Yeah.
I want to try and be honest with that. And he's already been through so much trauma. How did that shape him? How does he handle these things now because of that? Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's hard too to play a construct that doesn't function the way that any other race does. And so figuring out how eating works, or like does he eat? Does he have a stomach? Like all of those sorts of things too.
That was all part of the decision-making process with his father. To say, you've been sick your whole life. Yeah. Let's take the body out of the equation.
Right.
You don't have to eat. You don't have to sleep. You don't have to be sick ever again.
Right.
Yeah.
Lots of questions here. What level do you hope to get Sterling? What ability do you hope to use as a result of leveling up?
Like max level, I hope to get Sterling, or just
I
guess however far we can go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've never.
As long as you folks will be watching.
Yes, exactly. I've never been in a campaign long enough to get to level 20,
right.
And so I don't know what that looks like. I haven't done it before.
Curse of Strahd might not be that campaign for you, but for anyone, frankly, but yeah.
We might be able to, graduate the characters to a new setting or something.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding when it comes to dying. That's what I meant. Like, maybe
I know.
What
was I thinking?
Every time they come,
bringing
like,
a child
into
this world.
Today?
Yeah, like the first comment on like every video is like, "Who's gonna die?"
Every night we come together, that's the first thing I say. It's funny.
Every time.
Yeah. It's funny for me.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I really love playing as a fighter.
Yep.
I'm not sure I have a really good answer for that yet, and the ability that I'm looking forward to the most at this point, because I'm really just trying to get to that next level up.
Yeah.
I really just, the level I want to make it to is next level.
The next
right?
level, if you make it there, you'll be happy.
And I think the next level will have some ability score improvements, which I need.
Yeah.
I need a few of those.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to be able to hit a little harder. I've got the defense, but I want to deal out some damage.
You have some serious defense with an AC of 20.
Oh, extra attack should be coming up in a couple levels.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to an extra attack.
Yeah, exactly. and for those of you that want to kind of follow along with some of the things that Sterling is saying, like I said, we have an overlay on our Twitch video, and you can actually scroll over and click on Sterling and get his character sheet from D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
And kind of follow along here. We haven't gotten to see much of the Rune Knight's abilities, except in the fight with Oral. Have you liked the subclass so far?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love the different abilities that you can have. You can change the runes as you level up as well, which I'm probably going to do.
Yeah.
One of the ones I chose was Fire.
Yeah.
And I chose that not knowing exactly what the DC was going to be on those fire shackles, but the DC is 10. So,
there you go.
yeah. So I got to swap that out because
that's
there's
okay.
no way that's ever going to land. so I think I'm probably going to go with, I'm thinking Hill or maybe Cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. That's
We'll see.
awesome. I'm excited to see how that kind of goes.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what would be the most powerful thing? This is from Patron. Question: Can you tell us what would be the most powerful thing that Sterling could do at the maximum level? That's complicated because it depends on what runes you take and stuff.
It's true. It depends on what runes I take.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I haven't focused too much on the higher levels because it's going to be a really long time before we get there.
Yeah.
So I don't want to get my hopes up because he probably won't live that long.
Yeah.
I'll do my best.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. But as far as I know, I'm trying to remember exactly what I can do. I think it removes a lot of the limitations on how often I can use the runes, and that's something that I'm really psyched about.
Right.
Yeah,
No, that's good. How does Sterling really feel about the companions he's made, and does he fully have trust in all of them?
No, he doesn't have full trust in all of them. He admires Dimitri for his kindness and his good heart. He and his honesty as well. He admires Callie for being true to herself, that what you see is what you get, and also for her the kindness that she showed him. She's really the first person that showed him that it was okay for him to be this thing now. Before that, he was hiding from everybody for about a week. Roan, he does not fully trust. And that's because Roan has not...
I don't think Roan fully trusts Roan.
I'm pretty sure nobody fully trusts Roan. But they did have a bit of a bonding moment when Roan gave him his crossbow when Sterling's string broke. And so Sterling remembers that. He's not going to forget that easily. He's not going to let that go easily. So he's not really going to stand aside if Roan needs help. But at the same time, he knows deep within himself, he has a gut feeling that Roan may be capable of some dark things, especially based on the things he said. Fulfer is a ton of fun, and especially after this last episode, Sterling really, really loves Fulfer and feels like Fulfer is probably one of the closest friends he has in the group.
Yeah.
At this
Really,
point.
eh?
Yeah, well, especially after that last one, because Fulfer gave him permission to be a kid again.
Yeah.
Because he joined this group of adults.
True.
And so he's been trying to be an adult, be mature, act as polite as his father taught him to be. And he finally got this kind of, ticket to be a kid.
Yeah, totally. That was a really cool moment. Are you going to turn him evil?
I don't have a plan to turn him evil,
but
as I said before, he's being shaped by everything that's happening.
Sure, he's just a kid.
He could go bad.
Yeah.
He very well could. Yeah. And that depends on the people around him and what they do, and it depends on what he ends up having to do.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. All right, we'll take 2 more questions here. Do I need to have the 5th edition handbook to build a character like Sterling? all you need is D&D Beyond and a couple of the packages. So if you get D&D Beyond and you get the Player's Handbook in D&D Beyond and you get the Eberron book,
You don't even have to get the...
You just have to buy the class, the Warforged class.
That's it.
Then you can build Sterling. So I would suggest that you do that.
And that was like $1 or $2.
Yeah, $2 for the Warforged, and then however much the Player's Handbook is in D&D. I don't even know if you need the Player's Handbook to build.
Well, it's kind of...
I don't even know if you have to
built in.
I don't know. Either way.
I don't think you have to pay for the Player's Handbook.
No.
I think that's kind of like vanilla.
Yeah, but you do need 5th edition rules to play the Warforged in its iteration like Sterling is. Because we are playing a 5th edition game.
Yes.
Have you gents ever thought about running a DM 101 type of stream class or series? So yes, we've absolutely thought about that. This is a little bit of that in the sense of kind of getting an idea behind what DMs do. Also, the Tales from the Shattered Shield is a great way. That whole time I didn't have my mic on, and somebody just told me who shouldn't be watching.
Was that
Joel?
Now he knows how Sterling feels about fall fur.
Man, yeah. Sorry, folks. I totally shut my mic off when I went to go do something, and now it's not.
That's
okay. Sorry about that.
Lessons learned.
Lessons learned.
Lessons learned.
All right. So, and stop watching, Joel. And yes. What was the question? Oh, yeah. So, Tales from the Shadow Shield is me running a module, a beginner module for beginners. And explaining that we haven't really done like a lesson teaching DM, but that's a good thing. I think we need to think about that.
It's not a bad idea.
Because I think that we're looking for more content, and that is something that I know a lot of people are looking for. So that is a great suggestion. There's so many questions.
Point of growth now that I think people would watch it.
What's that?
We're at the point of growth now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think if you guys want to see it, sound off. Let us know.
Yeah, we've thought about this stuff in the past. We've talked about it in the past. It's just we didn't have the full audience yet.
Yeah, that's true. They say, question, will the character sheets be put on the website? No way to see them on the phone or on the TV. I think you can see them on your phone. I think it still works. I think there is a way to do that. If there isn't, folks, I think if you click the video on the iPhone...
Well, I think our characters are public. If somebody
maybe
had the right link to it,
Yeah,
I'm pretty
I don't know.
sure you could actually see
We'll work that out.
We'll have to check that out.
And our website, we need to update with our characters and all that stuff too. So maybe we'll try and do that.
Yeah.
And I think that's all we're going to take. Actually, okay, Patrolman 101 has one more question, and it is, since Sterling was a little kid, I assumed that the metal robot enables him to be a warrior. Would this be a surprise to Sterling in the metal body?
Okay, so this is really interesting. This leads into something that I was going to kind of throw in here as a bit of a teaser.
Yeah.
Since we're talking a little bit kind of spoilery.
Yeah.
The Warforged shell that Sterling was put in was not an early model as intended in the book.
Yeah.
This is one that has programming. So it was built for war. It has a mind built into it.
Yeah.
And that came out a little bit in that last fight. That Warforged was kind of taking over in a way. Sterling may have an internal battle.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes, what happens.
Yeah.
But he may potentially end up with an internal battle trying to hang on to his very humanity.
Yeah, sure. Awesome. Okay, so we are going to now transition into the Wildmount campaign, which I think a lot of people are very, very excited about. So what we're going to do, folks, the plan is to take each week now on Tuesday behind the screen. We'll do half an hour of a Q&A like we've done, like we did. Then do 15 minutes with a character from Into the Mist and talking about their existing character. And then we'll do like 15 to 20 minutes. We're probably going to go over today with talking about their character concept for Wildmount. Without too many spoilers, I have the book, but it is not out yet, and I fear that imps will attack me in my sleep if that will ascend from Avernus and steal me away if I say anything that I'm not supposed to. So we're going to be very careful not to spoil anything, but just a general concept of what your character is, their name, and all of that wonderful stuff for Wildmount.
So you want me to start?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay. So.
And I'll smack you if you say anything you shouldn't.
Yeah. You gotta watch out for those imps.
Yeah.
So, my character, I decided this time around I wanted to play a tabaxi, but a blind tabaxi. And he's been blind since birth. So that means he does not benefit from tabaxi, dark vision, or any of that. But through our conversations, we've decided that he does have a little bit of blind sight. And we're talking about what that range will be on the blind sight, what makes actual logical sense within the world. We don't want him to be OP. He's not Daredevil. I want to try and be relatively true to blindness, and take this as an interesting role play challenge, as well as something to kind of bring to light what it means for somebody to be blind, and the kinds of things that, how different it is, the different things that they have to do to be able to do things that we often take for granted. And to show how, awesome it is to be able to adapt to a new set of skills. And he's a fighter because I just love playing fighters.
You do.
It's so simple, You do.
This is your third fighter.
This is my third fighter.
In a row. I didn't even think of that. That's
every
hilarious.
single stream I've been on.
That's funny.
I've been a fighter so far here on this.
Yeah, and it's a testament, though. It's a testament to your ability to make the same class feel completely different. Because Sterling feels completely different from Vor, who will feel completely different from your tabaxi. So that's
absolutely.
That's great.
Absolutely.
And I love that.
So, I can't tell you what my archetype will be, but
no,
it will be revealed narratively.
It will be.
Narratively.
It will be.
Yeah.
What I can say is that the archetype that you choose within the Wildmount world, see how careful I'm being?
Oh, yeah.
Actually provides the opportunity to allow your character to possibly see one day.
Yes. Which is a motivator for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To experience this thing that he's never gotten to experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you guys you can start asking your questions if you have questions for him. We're not quite done just setting it up, but if you have questions, you might as well start so that by the time we get there, we've got lots queued up. Okay. And I think it's so brave and so huge to play a blind character because that changes everything that you do. It changes perception. It challenges me as a DM to come up with different ways to perceive things and understand things. It's really exciting for the stream and for us to kind of do that. And it's just so freaking cool. And
that's a big part of it. So it kind of came from people saying Sterling was a lot like Alphonse Elric.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, okay, well, I mean, that's an awesome character. So I started thinking other cartoons that I love. And I'm a huge fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I actually built a tabletop RPG system to work with Avatar.
Yeah, you did. That's right.
And so I thought, well, Toph is probably my favorite character in that whole show.
Yeah.
How would you make Toph in D&D?
Yeah.
And so we got talking about that, how she would use tremor sense and stuff. But if you're on a ship, that's not going to help you.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, it kind of went from there, and this character evolved from that.
And that's a great kind of character building concept. So people say, how do you build? When I first talk to people about D&D and they have nowhere to start, I say, what is one of your favorite characters in fiction?
Yeah.
Right? Whether it be in movies or whatever. And they're like, oh, I love Wolverine. And then I'll just, well, listen, this is who you should play. Or I love Aragorn, or I love Legolas, or whatever the case may be. And then that's a great starting point. Find an archetype in popular fiction or culture that you really enjoy, and then build that into the D&D mythos is a great concept. So, okay, we have lots of questions here to go through. What level are you starting in Wildmount? We are starting at first level. It's where I start all my campaigns. I love first level rat fighting. Brandon, Badrone says, will there be pirates in Wildmount? Can you do a pirate accent? So first off, yes, there are pirates. The Menagerie Coast is full of them. And I'm going to let Brandon do a pirate accent.
Yes, I can do a pirate accent.
That's very good, yes, indeed.
However, my character will not have a pirate accent.
He's really good. That's really good. All right. And welcome, Fiery25123, subscribing with to Twitch Prime. So thank you. Pritch Twime, apparently, is not what it's called.
Right.
Is the Wildmount campaign going to be set mostly in the Menagerie Coast? I'd love a sailing pirate campaign. And that's from DBA 720. Yes, I can absolutely say, as you can tell from the intro, that we are absolutely starting in the Menagerie Coast of Wildmount. And so there will be pirates and sailing ships and all of that wonderful stuff. So
Should I talk a little bit about my background?
Yes, absolutely.
So, my character, whose name is Snow, he's a pirate.
Good. It's
He's a
awesome.
pirate.
He's a pirate. So there you go.
He's going to talk like this. A little bit of a sort of Spanish accent. And a lot of the, Skyrim-esque.
Yes, the Skyrim.
Kashyyyk.
Yeah, that's great. That's good.
Not Kashyyyk. That's
No, yeah.
That's where
yeah,
Wookiees come
yeah,
from.
Yeah. That's where Wookiees come from.
That's where Wookiees come from.
Same thing.
Khajiit has wares to sell you.
Prometheus Bound asks you if you have a name. You already said what your name is.
Snow. His full name is Snowy Owl Moonbeam because all tabaxis get hippie names.
Yes, that is a fact.
Yes.
A prerequisite. Fiery says, hi. Prometheus Bound says, Grigori, the Scourge of the Sea. That's great.
Just shouting from the front of a boat. Help the kids!
Help the kid!
For the
I
kids!
can't hear you. Over the cannon fire.
For the kids!
That's hilarious. When one sense is gone, so Shadestar says, when one sense is gone, the other senses get more enhanced. Jay, will you be modifying other perceptions? For example, he may be able to hear danger or strangers approaching before the other players. Will you be compensating for that? So what I told Brandon, and there was some concern about and some discussion regarding, well, how is he going to do things and how is he going to see things? And I said, you know what? A perception check is a perception check is a perception check. You can use, people don't only see things when they perceive things. And so when he rolls a perception check, if he rolls a 1 or if he rolls a 5, then I will tell him how he perceives it, given that he hasn't perceived it very, very well. If he rolls really, really well, rolls a natural 20 or an 18 or something high enough to perceive something, I will absolutely allow his other senses to hear. So he smells something, he feels something, the wind changes and his first senses it. There's lots of other ways. So I will be compensating from a narrative perspective, but I don't have to compensate, I don't think, from a rules perspective. He can't see color, he can't see shape, he can't see that stuff, that's fine, but he can absolutely perceive with his other senses just as anybody else would in the world. You can talk a bit about what you were telling me, some of the things that you're doing, that your character does to sense things.
So I've been doing a lot of research on blindness. I've been talking to blind people to get their experiences and how they've adapted, and some things that have been referred to, and I didn't know this was a thing, but called blind hacks, where people will, for different types of bottles in their shower, they'll put like elastic bands and hair bands so they know what's what, or using a toothpick to find the center of a pie so that you can cut it, etc. So I've been thinking about all the different things that I could do, not just as a blind character, but as a blind tabaxi character. Tabaxi have fur. That means they're going to be able to sense movements in the air a little bit differently than we can as regular people.
Yep.
Any hairy man can tell you.
Or woman.
Or a woman. Any hairy person can tell you. So what he does is he'll use his claws, he'll shave certain sections of his fur around his face, his head, anything that's exposed, so that he's got sections with fur and sections that are completely bare, where he will be able to feel the movement of air a little bit differently in these different areas. Also, he will groom his fur out to be sticking out in different ways, so that they will be in certain places more sensitive to the movement of air because they're sticking straight out rather than combed down with the rest, right? These are just a couple of the ideas.
So cool.
We've talked about how he would be able to navigate through hallways and know where he's been and hasn't been. Maybe he'll leave a small trail of sand so he can feel the difference in the floor.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll drag a bar of soap along the wall so he can feel that kind of waxy residue that it leaves behind. Maybe he'll, what he does is he has a whole bunch of flasks of oil, and he will put different scented things in the oils so that he can leave a small trail of oil behind him that he can smell, and he can tell if he's been that way. So I've been putting a lot of thought into how he will perceive his world, and how in different situations, if he was deafened, how will he find his way around, you know, or, you know, all sorts of different situations.
It's so cool.
He's in his 30s, has been around, and, you know, he's got a lot of this stuff worked out.
So cool.
Yeah.
All right, so a couple of things here. Skyrim meets Mrs. Doubtfire, somebody said. Antonio Banderas from Puss in Boots, question mark.
Maybe.
Divine Serp says that Khajiit voice was amazing. Fiery 25123, welcome again. How much fire will there be, do you think? I like fire. Yes, you do, and there will be fire.
Yes, there will.
How many player characters will there be in the Wild Mount? In Wild Mount, will any of the Into the Mist players be there? Yes. So we haven't totally finalized yet. We're planning to have 5 or 6. So we have 5 at the table now. Hopefully, we have one more joining us. And I think most of the players of Into the Mist are joining us in that one. We're still working that out finally, but you can see you'll see a lot of familiar faces and maybe a couple new ones. So. And will Snow have a staff or something as a feedback tool for the world around him?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now I'm playing around with the idea of whether he would have a quarterstaff or a spear. Being that he's a pirate, I'm assuming he would prefer a bladed weapon. He does have a pair of scimitars as well. And he does have the, it's not dual wielding, it's the
two-weapon
fighting ability at first level. So that's going to help him out quite a bit.
Yep. How does the two-weapon fighting help him?
So,
Should I have not asked?
as long as I remember correctly, because that's one of those things off the top of my head, I don't always remember these things. Yeah. So, as far as I remember, it means he's going to get his bonus on both hands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because right. Because dual wielding allows you to wield two of the same thing. Mm-hmm. Two-weapon allow you to they have to be light weapons. Yeah. Or one has to be a light weapon.
Still counts
in
as
the offhand.
Action, bonus action.
Yeah.
But
right.
I believe I get my bonus on both.
Yeah. Moolander says, do you have lots of perfect puns and sayings that are clawing their way to the top of your list?
Perhaps. Maybe I will.
That's good.
We will see.
Yeah. Do you have some general minis for Wildmount you care to share? Minis. In the sense of miniatures? No. Not yet. Nothing's been released yet. But as they are released potentially, as I'm assuming down the road, potentially some might. I haven't heard anything yet. Mm-hmm. I will absolutely share. Oh dear.
We're probably going to be using the Tabaxi Rogue, the one with the two daggers.
They'll be we'll most likely be using WizKids minis, for sure. Oh, yes. and Brandon's just breaking everything.
Yeah, these are the Monster Fight Club.
Yeah, and you guys can see. Remember that that dwarf load of Dwarvenite that I said that was going to be present? That is. You can start to see it all to the edge of it right there, folks. And
this isn't the whole dwarf load. This is
not the whole dwarf load.
This is like a partial
load.
Partial load of dwarf. Yeah.
That's funny. All right, I think that's it. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Really appreciate it. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We're going to be doing like this every Tuesday, as we said, and we're very excited to continue to do that. Make sure that while you're watching this session, if you have any questions, jot them down. If we don't answer your questions in the break, in the actual session, or if they're spoilery and you think they're better for this, make sure that you jot them down so that you have them available for this show. I do love this. It's very relaxed. It's laid back. There isn't any prep that has to be done, really. It's just a really nice time to kind of hear your thoughts, answer some of your questions. And any question about, like, what happened in this situation, or why did you do this? There was a question last night in our Discord. We have a Discord server. The question last night was, I can't answer it because you're here. But there was a spoilerific question that somebody asked, and it was really cool to be able to kind of speak into that about why I handled certain things the way that I did. One of them last night was Danica, when she was asked about the Abbey of St. Markovia, when she was asked about the stone building by the mountains that was in the vision that Callie had when she was sleeping. The only reason Danica knew exactly where she was, she said absolutely, is because I rolled a natural 20 for her. So those are like the little things that happen behind the screen that you guys don't know about at home. But I actually do roll for perception or history checks for NPCs to see how they know, how much information they know, and how much they can actually help the players. It's not all just kind of a gimme. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Everyone's saying thanks. We did a good job and all that kind of stuff. So I appreciate you folks. We will see you on Sunday for Nolzers. I don't know what I'm painting yet because I really have to get onto that schedule, but it's been busy.
Tabaxi Mud. Tabaxi.
If I have a Tabaxi Rogue, maybe I will.
Ah.
That is a good idea. The Gold Dragon was really great last Sunday. I think people enjoyed that. So maybe I will search my minis and see if I have that Tabaxi Rogue. If that's the case, I will absolutely paint him leading up to the stream for sure. That's a great idea. And then, of course, episode 10, which leaves us 3 more episodes after Monday until our GaryCon finale. Again, that GaryCon finale for Into the Mist is March 28th at 10 a.m. Central Time, which is, I think it's an hour later Eastern Time. I think it's 11 a.m. Eastern, or it's 9 a.m. Eastern. It might be 9 a.m. Eastern. I think it's earlier. Anyways, 10 Central Time. Check it out. Have your bits fingers ready to join us in some combat, and it's going to be really, really fun. Looking forward to meeting you too, Prometheus Bound. Hopefully, if you guys are at GaryCon, that you stop by the booth, you say hi. Let us know you're there, and tell us what your Twitter handle is or your Twitch handle is, because we won't know otherwise, because we don't have all your names, even though you have ours. Right. You guys have a good night. Thank you, Brandon, and we will see you on Sunday.